Welcome, everybody, to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy-Looking Nerf Herders. This is a live streaming YouTube vidcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans. And today we'll be discussing Disney's cancel culture. Because what fun that is.
We thought we'd come in with a light episode.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a few weeks since we've done one of these. And so as soon as I saw this article by Bloody Elbow, I thought maybe we should chime in. We've sat out of this conversation for a very long time.
Yeah.
And pretty much all of this type of conversation, whether it's the accusations of Disney injecting politics into their films or their comics or books or whatever, and a bunch of rage from the Star Wars community about that. We've pretty much just wiped our hands of it and just sort of, kept an arm's distance. And I think for good reason, because it can get insane, and it can get insane really quick.
Yes, it can.
And we're not really reactionary, hyperbolic fanatics. So we're kind of level-headed people. At least I like to think we are.
For the most part. I mean, you get us started on some fucking make-believe space opera shit, we're going to go crazy. Real life, if you're not bothering me, I'm not going to bother you.
Yeah.
But this is fucking annoying. Let me just say that.
Well, before we dive into the topic of the show, and let me know, you guys watching, if the audio levels are balanced or not. I could just be...
Yeah. I'm having technical difficulties with my mic, so you'll have to bear with us.
It could just be me, though. That's the other thing. This is fed straight through to the YouTubes, so my picking up on it might be a little bit off. Anyway,
gotcha.
Before we started the show, I just wanted to recognize not that image, which is not supposed to be there.
Like, who the fuck is that?
Okay. Ralph McQuarrie, in memoriam. He was born June 13th, 1929, and he died March 3rd, 2012. This is the first time since the in memoriam that we're having a show. It was right after our last show, and I don't think we mentioned it then, and so I just wanted to bring it up here. Ralph McQuarrie is amazing, and if it wasn't for his visionary efforts, I don't think Star Wars would be what it is. I mean, it's really his visual cues that George Lucas took and just sort of ran with, and he was amazing. From everything from painting backdrops to conceptual designs for characters and the world itself, he was amazing. So I just wanted to...
It was master.
Say I don't forget. Never forget. Before we again, just one quick note, because it's been a couple weeks since you and I have chatted. Like, we don't really get to hang out very often.
Been a minute, yeah. I've been hiding quite a bit lately.
Why? What's going on?
Just family shit.
But, well, yeah. Did you do anything for St. Patrick's Day?
I got drunk and I made beer. So
hell yeah,
that was pretty.
Yeah.
I watched the Floggy Molly concert.
What's that?
Watched the Floggy Molly concert.
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. Damn it.
Yep.
I didn't do anything. I drank.
What?
I drank in honor of, but I didn't. I didn't go anywhere because I'm still not comfortable getting in crowded areas. Mm-hmm. Although yesterday I went into a gun show for the first time, so I can pick up some ammo, because you can't get ammo anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I just want to go to the range, and I want to take some friends to the range and have fun at the range. But you can't do that without rounds, and you can't buy rounds because everyone else is buying them. So I go to the gun show.
Well, they're going to take our guns at them. Everybody knows that.
I know. I'm not one of those. I guarantee that. I enjoy... Yeah. I was in the military, so I learned how... And the Boy Scouts before that. I learned how to properly control firearms. So I'm not afraid of them, but I enjoy firing them at ranges and stuff. I think it's just fun. And it's a skill that I think everyone should have. But that doesn't translate to crazy politics. That just means I enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
And I enjoy it with friends if we can get our hands on some doggone ammo, and I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how bad it is.
A huge wall of this convention center filled with ammo, and by the time we got to the room where it was in, there was a huge line snaking around, and after a half an hour of standing in line, all of those shelves were empty. People are buying it in massive bulks.
God.
Before anyone can get there. And people were selling us some rounds at $2 for an individual bullet. $2.
Jesus.
Which is insane prices. But that's the world we live in.
That's ridiculous. And I don't get it because there's a fucking shelf life on this shit.
It's true. You are supposed to fire them off after a certain amount of time.
Like I think people like I'm not a gun person. I like guns. I'm native, so of course I grew up blowing shit up on the res. But like I'm not like super crazy gun guy. But even I know that shit. It's there's got a shelf life.
Yeah, I think some people are doing it because they're freaking out. Some people are doing it because they're turning it over and making a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I can't blame them there.
So I'm never going to step in someone's way of making a buck. However you can do it, as long as it doesn't affect me. This just happens to be affecting me, though. And my fun. You people suck. But yeah, that's why I didn't even consider anything for St. Patrick's Day. I can't stand crowds. And the one time I did go to the crowd yesterday, it was too much. I just couldn't handle it. And most everyone was wearing masks and stuff, but it still is just, I felt greasy all day afterward. I just didn't feel right. It was weird. It was really weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I will go out when it's a little bit safer. That's how I look at it. Fuck all that noise.
All right. Well, let's get into this episode today. And I do want to stress that any opinions we give is not meant to, we're not saying anything to offend. You know, we're saying it because we have an opinion and we want to share that opinion in our platform, which is right here. So if you have a contrasting view, by all means, let's have a conversation. We're not going to start calling each other names. We're not going to, freak out. This is just our opinions based on facts and our own life experience. And let's not get any heavier than that. But so this first article came from okay, hold on. This is supposed to be changing the image, but it's not there. This first article came from Bloody Elbow. And so what I'm going to do, this is a little different than our traditional shows, right? I'm just going to kind of go through the article real quick and then we'll just riff. Does that sound okay?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yep.
So did Disney get Gina Carano pulled from another show? Gina Carano reposted the following on Instagram: because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get the government to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? There's a lot wrapped up in that thought.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question? Why do people use bumper sticker communication forms in order to communicate very complex ideas like this?
Social media. I blame all of it on social media, especially Twitter, because you're having to learn how to communicate with people with only 140 characters. At least I think that's the number. I don't fucking know. I don't have Twitter. I'm not an idiot. But it's like, I swear people, and this is like a side tangent that I'm not going to get into, but even with like film, like everything is dumbed down to the smallest possible bite-sized bit, because that's the only way people can consume any sort of information anymore, it seems like. Right. So just, you got to say something super, super stark, super drastic, super stupid with as few words as possible so people can understand it.
Yeah.
I swear that's all it is.
It drives me crazy because this is a very complex idea that she's sharing, and I disagree with the premise, but it's something that's worthy of a conversation. You know, I mean, political ideas ebb and flow throughout a country, and it really depends on what's happening in that country in the moment. The leadership that is sort of guiding the country, the tone of the individuals in their reaction to that leadership. I mean, it gets really, really crazy. And then the whole Nazi referencing, that's as old as the 1930s when it was a real thing. So, you know, if we're talking about from a liberal perspective, arguing against the Trump administration when that was out, of course, they threw around Nazi all the time and Nazi references all the time. In this particular case, it's a conservative, you know, trying to compare it to the seemingly silence culture over conservatives and using that as a sort of a parallel. Well, first of all, the premise is so flawed. There's no ovens for conservatives. They have their own media platforms to spout whatever ideas that they may be having. And the same way with liberal ideas. They have platforms. You know, there may be groups within those platforms trying to silence the opposite groups, but that's just normal parlance of communications today.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating when people act like they're silenced and yet they're actively communicating that to the world through social media. How are you silenced?
Right.
You've said what you wanted to say and people heard it. That's not silence.
No, that's the epitome of communication.
So a hashtag started going around after that was shared called Fire Gina Carano. And some of the reasoning for this is in one tweet was encapsulated by hashtag Fire Gina Carano for believing racism isn't real, for mocking trans pronouns, for spreading COVID conspiracy theories, for supporting the White House insurrection, for being anti-mask, for posting anti-Semitic pics, and comparing being a Trumper to being Jewish during the Holocaust, one user posted on Twitter. I mean, all of those are facts when referencing her own tweets, retweets, and ideas that she has shared. So I guess this really comes down to the idea of, do you as an individual consumer of someone's work have a right to call on their canceling if you disagree with their personal behaviors, personal thoughts, and personal actions? When what you're enjoying from them is their talents, their acting skills, their profession. And this started all with the Me Too movement. And I think that was a very just and needed movement, cultural moment to be had, because it made way too long to get to where it was. And we're still not even done with it. But there's a median line, I think, between someone abusing and like shitting on other people actively and someone just sharing their ideas. And that's the line between Me Too and this cancel culture that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
You can't compare someone literally abusing another person to allow them to, you know, get a role or continue their career with someone just spouting off their shitty ideas. Like, especially in a society based around the construct of freedom of speech.
I know, there's a novel fucking idea, right?
So what, I don't understand. Do you have any way of grasping or maybe helping me understand how our culture can go from championing free speech when it's their speech, but then demonizing others' free speech when they don't agree with it?
Oh, it's simple. I mean, everybody just, the only way to be seen or heard is to be offended or sound like a dumbass. So if you don't sound like a dumbass, the only way to get attention is to sound or to be offended by everything. And now, it's not to say that shit she said wasn't bad. I mean, I have a very deep despising, like, just in my gut, I just want, anytime I see a Nazi, I just want to punch them in their face. And I'm not a violent person. I might talk a lot of shit, but really, when I see that shit, I just want to beat the fuck out of them. That's in my. I kind of
feel like they've deserved it.
They fucking deserve it.
Earned that reaction.
Like, and for all you people who are like, oh, Antifa. Okay, for one, anti-fascist action is an ideal, not a fucking community. Period. Guess what? You see this? I fucking know. But that being said, like, it's just, she's being stupid. She's saying stupid things. Ignore her. If you don't fucking like it, ignore her.
Yeah.
And my problem with a lot of this shit is the fact that people can't separate the art from the artist. And I understand there's some things that just, it makes perfect sense. You know, especially with the whole Me Too thing. Like, Harvey Weinstein, like, he's a cunt. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get rid of every Weinstein Group movie I have because he's a fucking rapist.
Yep.
Period. There's so many other people that were involved. It's a little different 1-to-1 ratio, but still, like, it's just fucking ignore her. It's not that hard.
Yeah, we do live in a time when our value, our sense of self-worth is projected by other people liking our opinions. You know, like that's the whole point of social media. The more likes, the more shares, the more comments, the better you are as a person. I'm sorry, I'm getting a strange buffer notice on YouTube, so I'm going to adjust the stream rate to up it a little bit. So if you get any disruptions, that's why. Come on. All right, well, I'll continue talking while this is going. So Fire Gina Carano was trending on social media in November 2020 after Carano posted a series of anti-mask memes and retweeting posts denying the outcome of the presidential election. In the past, sorry, it just came up. Give me 1 second.
Every time you have issues, I just kind of want to
just freeze
still for a minute.
I mean, whatever. It'll work. It should be going through now. All right. So in the past, she's posted about QAnon. I don't want to. Everyone knows what QAnon is by now. You should anyway. It's insanity.
And if you don't, good for you. Don't look it up.
Yeah, seriously. Several months ago, she added boop, bop, beep to her Twitter name in a poor attempt to mock the use of preferred gender pronouns. And then, of course, when all of this came to a head and people were questioning Lucasfilm, they responded with, Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Late last year, Lucasfilm was reported planning to give Carano her own Disney Plus series before she made several anti-mask tweets and false claims about voter fraud in the U.S. presidential election in November. Carano was also dropped by her agency UTA. All of this happening on the 14-year anniversary of her Elite XC fight with Julie Kedzie, which was the first ever televised women's MMA bout. According to We Got This Covered, Carano's erasure from the Star Wars franchise includes the halting of production on Funko Pop and action figures that bear her likeness. Also, according to that outlet, Carano's appearance in her Disney-owned ventures appears to be under threat. Last year, Carano filmed an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls for the Disney joint-owned National Geographic Channel. However, when an episode list of the forthcoming season was released, there was no episode listed with Carano's name on it. Neither Disney nor National Geographic have publicly commented about whether or not Carano's appearance on the show will ever be aired. So here's my question. Disney seems, or Star Wars is seeming to bow to the tweet storm created by Gina Carano's comments to get her fired. And in order to pacify that group, they fire her. Now, whether it was to pacify the group shouting for her to be fired, or whether because they just don't think that she should work there with those opinions, should it stop at that point? Like, they already punished her. You know, we don't want you working with us because of your political ideology, which is actually illegal. Like, you know, it's the same thing. You can't ask someone their political beliefs when you're going through the hiring process. You can't fire someone because they share different political ideas than you. I mean, she could sue if she really wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has the deep pockets that Disney does.
No, no. Now she'd be fucked. But
yeah,
it would at least
no one backing
be funny.
But I mean, that's the argument, though. It's we fired you literally because of your thoughts and opinions, and that's it. That's insane. And now they halt her action figures. They halt any type of extra money that she was going to be getting for, selling her likeness off to Disney, selling her soul to the devil, as it were. And then they canceled another show that she was supposed to do a cameo, appearance in on National Geographic, simply because it's Disney owned. They could do that. Is that going too far in your opinion?
Yes. Especially, and this is just purely from a financial standpoint, like the Funko Pops, the Black Series figure, all that shit that was in production. That doesn't mean that, they're still sketching up ideas to put in, to make the fucking things. No, there's molds made, there's casts made. Like out there, there's Carano figures that will never see the light of day that are, either being destroyed or being hoarded off by, intelligent people. It doesn't make sense because we're not buying Gina Carano action figures.
Yeah.
It's Cara Dune, like a very strong, powerful, awesome character in a new series that rejuvenated the Star Wars legacy. It doesn't make sense. And there's people that, they're not going to have work necessarily because they won't be creating this shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that probably aren't going to get paid for, like the Funko sculptors. Each fucking pop is sculpted by hand by somebody. And my understanding, and I could be very wrong, so don't quote me on this, but my understanding is they get paid when it's delivered and produced, not as they're making it. So it just, like, that shit bothers me. I mean, I get it. They had to fire her because, she's fucking crazy, but whatever. Give us the goddamn toys, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, they're making a Black Line series of fucking, what's his name? Jackson?
Yeah.
The goddamn green bunny guy that's annoying as fuck. Why is that okay and we can't get a stupid Carano figure? It's dumb.
So weird. It is so weird. This is the big difference, though, that you brought up that everyone needs to keep in mind. You are not what you create. She created with the help of Favreau and Filoni through their directing and storytelling. She was literally given she was the inspiration behind the character Cara Dune. It was her name that was inspired the character, her likeness, everything about it. So that makes it a little more challenging, but the character Cara Dune is not the actress and fighter Gina Carano. They are two separate entities. Billy D. Williams is not Lando Calrissian.
That's getting into
close.
Jackson territory there, man.
I mean, as much as I love Mark Hamill, he is not Luke Skywalker. He is an amazing actor and voice actor, but he's not the character. And we see this with recasting of those characters in different films or different series. And that's a normal thing to be done in film and TV and everything. In plays, you recast roles because it's a role. It is not the actor. How many Hamlets have there been? How many King Arthurs have there been? It's ridiculous to punish the creative character in a story because an actor has and here's the other thing. Having actors be crazy and having absurd ideas is nothing new to our generation.
No.
There have been historically famous actors that are just fucking balls to the wall like crazy. Or just really obscure. Jack Nicholson is just a really obscure guy who really doesn't give a fuck about anyone or anything and just kind of does his own thing. But directors and studios look the other way for his eccentricities because he's Jack Nicholson and he's delivering the goods when he's given the roles. And you can exponentially add, spread that out to hundreds of thousands of actors across the spectrum of our film history. It's just the reality that we have to be able to divorce the actor from the role, and erasing the role does not punish the... Oh, geez, my phone thought I was talking to it. Erasing the character in the story does not punish the actor as much as it does the other people around that were supporting it. Like you were saying, the people, for Funko Pop specifically, and the action figures specifically, the crafters and the marketing people who are putting those out on the shelves, and then the stores who would be selling them are not going to be able to sell them and make money. I mean, it's a whole chain of people that are affected by this. And why don't you just recast the role? Who cares? It's just a character. Just recast it. There are tons of female actors that could do this.
Well, realistically, they could find a better actor. She is not that good.
Very true. Yeah.
Like, first season, she was okay. It was like, oh, okay, this is better than Deadpool. Second season, no. It was like, ooh, that was the best take you got?
Yeah, so I don't personally agree with the idea of firing someone because of their political ideas or because they share those ideas in social media. Social media is a public platform, but individual actors are not representatives of the organization that they work for.
Well, in Disney, they're pretty bad about that shit. Like the whole James Gunn situation. they fired him over tweets he made like a decade ago when he was working for Troma.
Yeah.
Let me stress that. He was working for Troma. There's a certain ilk that works there. There's a certain attitude about being, in Troma. It's fucking stupid. They fired him over that shit. And then secretly, didn't make a big deal of it. They had to hire him back because otherwise they weren't getting Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And never apologized, never said, oh, we learned that he learned his ways, blah, blah, blah. Just didn't say anything. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they pulled that shit with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Disney can't actually stick with anything.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they're sticking with Kathleen Kennedy. They're really good with that.
Yeah, that's very true. They really don't want her gone.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, she made them millions and millions of dollars, like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Whether, the fan base loves what she did or not is one thing, but she did make them money. And so as long as she did ride that gravy train. Okay, so to your point, there's a history with this Disney-based cancel culture. And more recently than James Gunn was this guy that no one knows who the fuck he is. He wrote the Aftermath novels. His name is Chuck Wendig.
Mm-hmm.
He was fired by Marvel when he was writing Star Wars comics. He was actually scheduled to do a Darth Vader miniseries, which I was really kind of hoping for because I really enjoyed the Aftermath novels personally.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And he was fired because of his political views, which were on the other side of the political spectrum. He was actually firing off tweet storms about Chuck Kavanaugh's appointment to the Supreme Court when that was happening in 2018, which I totally agree with because Chuck Kavanaugh was a Chuck Kavanaugh. That's not right. Where's Kavanaugh's name? I want to say it right before.
It is.
Oh my gosh, it's in here somewhere.
Brett.
Thank you. Brett and his boofing. Fucking this guy. Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, which was, in my personal, political ideas, a travesty. But that's our world. And here's something that we all need to fully wrap our heads around, because in order to be a human adult, you have to understand this at some point in life if you're ever going to go anywhere in life. You have your opinions. Other people have theirs. You have every right to be offended by them, and they have every right to be offended by yours. That doesn't mean you get to take physical actions against them, and it shouldn't mean you can take actions to get them fired from their fucking jobs because you disagree with it. Just disagree and move on.
You can ignore people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
I may hate the guy who runs... I don't know, I'm just going to give a random, the Starbucks down the street, the manager who runs Starbucks.
Yeah.
I may hate him because he's an asshole. I don't even know who he is. Sorry, dude. But I wouldn't try to get him fired because I hate him or because he has different ideas than me. So whether it's a conservative idea, off the crazy right conservative end or the crazy left conservative or left libertarian progressive end, it doesn't matter. Just accept that people have different ideas and move the fuck on. It's crazy. So it's just wild that it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. If you make too much of a fuss and there is a counter side that is loud enough, Disney will acquiesce to that loud crowd just to get their heads away from the conspiracy of whatever it is. And so they fired Gina Carano. They'll fire Chuck Wendig. So you can't say that Disney hates progressives or hates conservatives. They just love money.
Yeah.
And they're going to bow to the loudest crowd, period. At least that's what it seems to have been. And Marvel with them, with James Gunn, this whole cancel culture thing is just genuinely driving me crazy. And I thought it was going to go away a couple of years after the Me Too started. Mm-hmm. It seems just to persist. What are we doing?
I don't understand the need to be offended.
Well, and
that's really what it seems like. Yeah. Everybody just wants to be offended over something.
We tend to forget that people can grow and evolve in their opinions. Mm-hmm. We've seen it through our politicians, and it's used as a sort of arrow to strike them down. You know, this politician believed this 8 years ago, and now they changed their mind. Don't vote for them. People's opinions change and evolve. That's how human beings have existed on this planet. We've adapted to the culture that we're surrounded by, and we evolve in order to survive the environment. That's just what we do. And that goes with ideas as well. So yes, we lived in a much more stagnant time 100 years ago than we live today. But we're going to continue moving progressively, socially, into the future. And you can fight that, and that's fine. And you can disagree with that, and that's fine. But it is an inevitability that it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. So scream and fight and you shake your hands in the sky. Awesome. But just realize that you are not going to stop the progress of the human experience. You're just going to be trapped in a moment of it. And trying to cancel people as if 10 years ago they're the exact same person as they are today, or the climate of jokes told 10 years ago should be held against modern standards, is absurd.
Yeah.
We got to grow up, especially as a fandom. You got to grow up. All right. That's my soapbox. I don't know.
It's just like, I understand the need for people to be held accountable for being assholes. Yeah. But at the same time, man, everybody just needs to lighten the fuck up. Sometimes people just say shit to get a rise out of people. Yeah. Like I've got a buddy that for years had constantly told him, dude, just laugh. Whenever somebody makes fun of you, laugh with them. They'll stop. But he never did understand, like, the more you feed into what they are saying, the more they're going to get the reaction they want, and the more they're going to keep pushing. Yeah. That is what is fucking happening. Yeah. Like, the way I look at ideologies like this, like specifically with Carano, the anti-mask, the anti-vaxxing, lizard people, all that dumb shit.
They're real.
It's just like, everybody knows Morlocks are real. Whatever. The thing is, these people aren't telling you to convince you. Subconsciously, they are telling you to convince themselves that this shit is real. Just like religion. Like, I have to force my beliefs on you because if you believe them, then that means I can believe them, thus validating my beliefs. Yeah. It's just fucking ignore them. Yeah. You are an adult. Hit mute if you can't get yourself away from the phone screen.
You have the power.
Or better yet, take the phone and throw it across the fucking room and read a book. Take a nap, masturbate, do something productive other than be on your goddamn phone.
In that order. Absolutely.
In that order. Or, well, usually I guess it'd be masturbate.
That's
then
true.
Take a nap.
That's a very good point. Okay.
But you know what? Mix it up.
You do you.
Do you.
Literally. What do you think about, because there is a reactionary side of this that falls down on our opinions, but then they take it a little bit further where they say, well, now we need to cancel Disney. We need to stop Disney from creating Star Wars or from creating it in their way that they're creating it. I mean, they own the IP, so there's not much you can do. They want to fire Kathleen Kennedy. There's a reaction to this that says, if you don't want Disney to continue in this behavior, we need to punish them by not seeing the movies, not subscribing to the streaming service, and just sort of boycotting them. And there is a piece of the fandom that's done that. Do you think that is an effective way if everyone jumped on that bandwagon?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just like the whole, like any sort of fad in cinema. Like, let's just take horror, for instance. Anytime there's a new fad, be it found footage or, remakes or anything like that, the way to get them to stop doing it is stop purchasing the content, stop participating in the content. Mm-hmm. Just stop. Then they'll realize, oh, we're doing something wrong. We need to do something else. So, I wouldn't do that because, yes, I don't necessarily agree with all of Kathleen Kennedy's personal politics. But the fucking Mandalorian, man, like that alone has made up for almost everything that they've done since acquiring Lucasfilm. Yeah. Like I wouldn't do it. Plus, Disney Plus is awesome. You get to have Simpsons and shit. I mean, it's worth having.
National Geographic is awesome.
I get it.
Yeah.
And the people that do that because they want to say fuck the man, I get it. I support you. I think that's awesome. I'm not going to do it because I like cartoons.
Well, and I mean, here's the other thing is that I do believe that type of a stance, faced with the reality that most people won't follow with it, is the same as a political party, like a third or fourth or fifth political party that tries to get people to not vote for the first two parties, that there's an seeming inevitability that they will, one of those two will win if you do vote for them. And so not everyone is going to take the chance of losing Mandalorian or losing their Marvel shows by not subscribing to Disney Plus in order to get Disney to change their perspectives. In the same way that not everyone is going to, the fear of losing something or losing to someone is too great compared to the reality of what you're experiencing in this moment for too many people. So, yes, Disney is making some really terrible choices, but they're also making some really good ones. I enjoyed Solo. I enjoyed Rogue One. I didn't think they did a good job with the sequel trilogy. I haven't even read the new novels that they're releasing with the High Republic yet.
Man,
I'm just not interested. And so
I will say the first couple chapters of the new actual book, it feels like Star Wars.
Charles Soule is good.
Yeah. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's good people. He's talented storyteller. And so, it's okay to like some of the things they do and dislike others. You don't have to wrap your arms and hug every single product that comes out with a Star Wars label on it. It's okay to shun the different ones. But to then anticipate every Star Wars fan is somehow not a real fan if they are continuing to watch a streaming service or they're continuing to go see films on the hopes that it's going to be good next time. That doesn't make them any less of a Star Wars fan or you any more of one trying to get them to stop. I just don't understand this whole weird culture. All we have to do is appreciate what we like and ignore what we don't like in life.
But that's not how fundamentalism works, Adam.
Yeah.
You either love it all or you hate it all. There's no gray area.
You're either with us or against us. You're starting to sound like a separatist.
Only Sith deal in absolutes. Spoken like a Jedi.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with this topic? There's no way to pacify any of the groups in conflict, but there is a way to be an adult and just not get involved.
That's really it. Just remember that you have your own life.
Yeah.
You have your own beliefs. You have just your own shit. Stay in your little bubble. Laugh at the idiots from afar. Know that you're better than all of them. And just go about your day. Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
Hell yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to be notified when we upload a new video. And until the Infernal Brotherhood convenes again, may the Force be with you.
The rebels are really lizard people.
You told everyone!
I had to do it, Adam. I had to do it.